Welcome to the City of Florissant Podcast, where we talk anything and everything related to the beautiful city of Florissant.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Florissant Podcast. This is the media department here. We got Steve, Bennett, and Joe. We just kind of want to talk about the things that we do on a daily basis, where we've been, how we started, where we plan on going in the future, and just so some of you guys can put some faces to the department, because you see our work every day on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it, the cable station. We're behind all of it. So I just kind of wanted to start and talk about some of those things. So do you guys have anything you want to talk about before we get into it?
I say we begin at the beginning.
All right.
Which is right there.
Yeah. So we've got some photos to kind of use as talking points today. This is the old media department. Before I was here, before Bennett and Joe were here, Steve was probably here for parts of it.
Yeah, I was probably working somewhere in the city at this point. This looks like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
25?
I would guess probably about 20 or 25 years ago.
Just not in this building.
And this studio obviously was not here then. This photo was taken in the exact same place where we're sitting right now, which is just very hard to believe for me.
That's crazy.
It looks totally different than it does now. Totally different.
I do miss the wooden backdrop though.
They had wood paneling for a while. Then they had a green screen that wasn't, executed very well. It was okay.
It was very green.
But there's one of our favorite former employees, Chris Pulliam, who gave the city 32, 33 years. And he's retired.
Just retired. How long ago was that now?
About a year ago.
About a year? Yeah. And that's who I started working with when I started at the department was Chris. And he was probably still shooting on that same camera when I got here. So, yeah. And there's just another photo of the entire department. And here is the start of one of their old videos.
Yeah, they were definitely keeping, for a very long time, they kept with the cable access, government access theme. They used all the tools that they had as best as they could. And for the time, it doesn't look that flashy now, but they did a good job. And did you have another one to show like one of our intros looks like?
We'll get there.
We'll get there. So should we start where kind of that photo left off with, the creation of a new media department?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So I'll let you start that because you were kind of here for the transition.
Sure.
And before I got here, I guess it was right when I got here is when you took over as media director, wasn't it?
Yeah, just before that. So I've been with the city a long time.
How long?
Very long, 26 years now. And let's see, I was IT director for the city when the city administration asked me to take over the media department and take it in a new direction. And we had a really unique interview process for Steve's position of media manager. We had just had two persons from our media department retire. So Steve interviewed for the spot along with another person, and we had them do a 60-second video piece about anything they thought was interesting in the city of Florissant, edit it, show it to us.
It was
and
5 days, or we had a week to do it, or something.
Yeah, probably
like
a week. And the other gentleman, I forgot his name, he did a pretty good job, but Steve knocked it out of the park. So that's why he's here, and he's continued that. So slowly but surely, we transitioned from less contractors, more permanent employees, which you see Bennett and Joe over there.
That's where the red shirts come in?
Yeah. And then we took this notion that Steve had of redoing the studio down here, and we had so many different people in the city contribute to this end, and you can see how well that's done here. We've created high-powered workstations for our employees, the right software to get stuff edited, the right tools to shoot with. I was a computer geek before, but now I'm definitely a camera geek after you guys got here because we have some really amazing equipment up there to film all this stuff with. So the stuff that you see today that is really flashy, really well cut, really well edited, really well shot, the lighting's right, everything's perfect on it, it's because of these guys. They really know what they're doing, and they've mastered and refined their craft over the last few years here.
Well, and it was also seeing like what works with the city, what
Sure.
the residents want to see. Also advancing our skills here in this department, which took a little bit longer than I like to say. But
If we look at one of the first videos you did when you were just here by yourself, it was light years better than what we were able to create in the past, because we bought a little bit of equipment and just really put forth a different effort in a different direction, and that was great. But what I like about you three guys is you're never satisfied. You guys look at one of the first videos or older videos, and then you look at what you do now, and you're like, oh, that's trash. But no, other cities aren't doing anything like this. That's why I love the fact that the city of Florissant has this. We're a huge city in St. Louis County, and they spend just a little bit of money so that our department can highlight what we have to offer. And I think that's why people come here. That's why people stay here. Fantastic.
I just remember right when I started, I walked down into this basement and the studio was kind of in disarray, kind of like this. It wasn't as messy. There was still a
That's
news
the room
desk
we're in
here,
right now. Yep.
and this is just kind of what it looked like. And I remember it was either Mayor or it was you asked, "Is there anything you can do in this green screen studio?" And I looked at you very honestly. I was like, "I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that we can do in here." We tried to do a couple videos. I think the first video we did with I-270 North project, they came down here and we actually used the green screen.
Did we?
Yeah, and it looked terrible. He had fuzziness all over. The lighting that was in here just wasn't.
I know the
sufficient.
green screen was here when Bennett started. Was it here when you started, Joe?
It was still here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we ever used it. With,
But it was on its way out when you started, right?
I never saw it used. Never.
And then right when I started, brings into the council
Look at
chambers.
that guy. He's really well cut. Look at how nice your hair is and everything.
It ain't that way anymore. Now I look homeless most of
Now
the
you
time.
are homeless, but you still come to work. That's great.
So this was council meetings. We had more equipment than you could ever imagine. It was very old machinery, old technology.
It was a ton of equipment, and the end result didn't look that great.
No.
It was grainy.
And we still needed 2 camera operators for the entire council meetings.
And a director,
And a
right?
director. So there was 3 full people that were working from the media department, 2 contractors and myself on every council meeting. And this way still had a lot of issues. We were losing signal a lot when we were pushing out to charter. The machine itself was freezing on the switcher's end. So we would have to reboot in the middle of council meetings and things like that. And that's when you came to me, Steve, and asked about automating the council meetings. And that was a big decision. And a lot of money went into that. And it has freed up so much of our time for the
A
media
lot of money
department.
went into it, but it has saved the city a tremendous amount of money, and it has produced a much, much better product. Were either of you guys here for some of the old broadcasts?
I was not. I started in January 2020
Okay.
as an intern.
Was that when you started as an intern?
Yeah, as an intern. My super long internship. That was like a month and a half, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so that room, I don't know that we have a present day picture of it, but that equipment has been reduced down to 1/5 of that size.
Oh,
Yeah, I
definitely.
I think a
And-
week after I started was like when they ripped all that out of there.
I
And
did
that was
it.
when they started the
I ripped it
yeah,
out.
the,
We had to dismantle it piece by piece.
and
It
that
was
was
a
when
mess.
they started the process of the new system.
Yeah, so we use Swagit now, and they direct our meetings from Texas. They have PTZ cameras in there. We are still present because we have to take photos sometimes, and we have to be there for continuity of service in case something needs to be reset. But by and large, this is way easier. We
Oh,
broadcast live to social media as well as our cable stations, and they have an archive for us too, so people can go back and research meetings and
And
fast forward.
the picture's way better. It's
gorgeous.
It's very high quality, good high definition. So far, we've really enjoyed automating the council meetings.
Sure.
I mean, it's really helped us a lot overall.
There's only so much you can do with a council meeting, and there's a lot of good information in our council meetings. So the better we make them look, the more people pay attention.
So this is a photo when we were kind of mid-transition. We started to get some of the equipment in for
Oh, yeah.
this studio here. And this was just when we were trying to kind of configure it, figure out how everything worked. So once the studio was built, we knew how to use all this stuff.
Sure.
And it was fun. There was a lot of troubleshooting involved, and it got a little frustrating at times. And during this, we were getting the carpet put in, the basement painted,
yeah.
and like we had people working while we've got cables and cameras everywhere, and we were just trying to figure this out while also still going out and shooting events and coming back and editing this. And it was kind of a difficult time to work through the basement, but it was exciting because we knew this was coming.
Every day something new was arriving, something new was being finished.
It's like Christmas morning every time,
Yep.
just like I say. Anytime we get new equipment, it's Christmas morning around here.
Oh, yeah, that was like one of the most exciting days was when the equipment got in and we got to like mess with it for the first time. That was
Speaking of equipment, not to jump ahead, but this is a little interesting. We have a small amount of money each year to keep our equipment up to date and to buy new stuff. Our FPV drone just arrived today
Really?
Ooh.
for pilot Bennett Kedge.
oh,
Did
thank
you guys know about
Did
this?
you guys know Bennett's a pilot? The FPV drone is upstairs right now, which
Wow.
hopefully in the coming months our viewers will see amazing things that we can do with that. And yesterday the 600 millimeter lens came,
Yeah.
which we're really excited about
It's
we
basically a
do a lot of
telescope.
we do a lot of events where you guys are at the theater or at concerts or other venues, or you're really far away. So that's going
We
to
actually used that one to get like the wide shots of each room, the 600 millimeter.
photo joke.
Yeah. So when we go out, most people probably didn't understand that, but this thing can see basically miles ahead. Not really, but it can zoom in so much further than anything we've ever had the capability of doing so. And it would not be able to see the entire wide view of a room. But
You
we're
could
very
probably-
excited about
A little
that.
smaller than Hubble.
Yeah, you could probably see all the way down St. Francis with this thing.
Sure.
Here was more of the transition period where we were kind of fine tuning the equipment and trying to figure out what we were doing. But this is, you can still see the green screen behind of where it was. Also, we skipped past something. The drop ceiling. There's no drop ceiling in here.
Yeah,
that's
we
cool.
were trying to raise the drop ceiling, and then one of our building maintenance guys had the brilliant idea of just ripping it out and painting. So it's
And
created
yeah,
a bigger
Way
space.
smarter idea than trying to
Yep.
raise this thing.
Yeah, it feels way more like a studio than it would have with drop ceiling in here.
And it's crazy. Like the photo with Bennett in it. That's the first photo that we've seen so far where I was actually here.
Yeah. Joe is still very new. I mean, he feels like he's been here for a long time. But Joe, when was it that you started?
I was contracting that summer of 21, doing a whole bunch of the summer concert series stuff, and then you hired me on as part-time October 20th of last year.
Okay.
So coming up on my 1 year.
Excellent. And then this was right after we knocked the wall down that kind of separated our office space from the studio area. And
We gained a few feet there.
Yeah.
Right, getting rid of that.
yeah, absolutely. Now there's just a curtain there that replaced that wall, and that made us feel like this room's a lot bigger than it actually is, and that really helped.
Yeah. So very briefly, people have heard the story before, but if you made it this far in the podcast, we have to acknowledge the theater department for helping visualize this huge space here, purchase the items, execute it. They were an amazing help.
Yeah, I mean, the lighting wouldn't have been anywhere near what it is without the theater department.
Sure.
We had no idea how much went into it, the programming, the everything. We learned a lot, but still don't know half of what Ryan over at theater knows, and he made this all possible.
Maybe a quarter,
Maybe
maybe an eighth.
maybe a quarter.
Yeah. So this has enabled us to do a lot more interviews, podcasts, video podcasts faster. We still
Way
go
faster.
out. We still go out on location to do them all the time, but this has made it much easier than constantly setting up and taking down in so many different places. I'd say we do half or more, 3/4 down here now.
Oh yeah, I would
For
agree
sure.
with that. And like Bennett saw it towards the end of before we got this studio when he was working here. I used the mayor as an example because it was a good one because we did the mayor's minutes all the time. So we'd go into his office and he'd have to not take phone calls, and he couldn't really get a whole lot of work done for a substantial amount of time.
Half
So
an
we'd
hour.
have to set up lights, then put microphones on him, and then he'd have to sit down and we'd have to talk about the direction of the video that we're going to go, and then we'd shoot, and then we'd break everything down, and then we'd leave. Now he walks in, we say go, he talks, he leaves.
There you go.
It's so quick. It's helped us out so much in the long run. This has been great for us.
Yeah, it's allowed us to dig into other areas too. So we cover all of our festivals in depth. We cover Parks and Recs events and classes in depth. And we've got this great business initiative where if you have a storefront business in the city of Florissant, we come and highlight your business for you. And these guys create an amazing high-def video interviewing the owner. What are you about? How do people contact you? We recently did Tiger's Gym and Fight Club, a new business in Florissant. That's one of my favorite ones that we've done so far.
That one was awesome.
Because it's a brand new business. They need help getting the word out, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help economic development a little bit in the city in that part. So that's been enjoyable. And I think, having a set area here, being able to produce stuff faster, I mean, it's created more work for you guys. But you guys have grown so much in what you can do and how you do it. Your craft just constantly gets refined. So unfortunately, all this work has created more work, but
that's a good thing.
You're young.
That's
you
a
can
good thing. The Tiger's Gym Grow and Flow video that we just did, there's a couple cool stories about that. Dan Isaac was the coach and the business owner there, and he told me right before he left a narrative that he really wanted to kind of push through this video. And I didn't tell Joe that. I told him to just start working on the video. He started working on it, and he got that narrative somehow. I watched what he had, and I was like, that is exactly what he was trying to portray in this video.
Yeah.
And I was like, did he tell you that, or did I tell you that? And he was like, no. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
It was just that
worked out.
obvious.
Yeah.
It was a very rewarding video for so many reasons, because he brings a lot of people in from the community from all different walks of life. So we get to interview them all. But it was a little confusing to me to see the footage you guys were getting. Like, how are you going to get all this in a short video? But you did very, very well, where everybody's got their little bitty piece and worked out amazing.
Yeah, hold on, I lost it.
He's an editor, not a talker.
Yeah, that's right. But it was crazy. Like you had said, you didn't tell me what the theme of the video was, but that's what happens whenever you're like, because with those grown flows, it's very much what the person puts into it that comes out of it. So if you come in knowing kind of what you want to display about your business, how you want people to see it, and then you have us film it that way, it's easy.
Yeah, it's very easy. And that's kind of what we want the business owners to know when we do these in the future. If they want to bring people in, customers that they, like their favorite customers or certain employees or certain things they want to show off, this is their time to shine.
Yeah.
And they can do it however they want to, within reason, of course, without abusing our time and things like that. But we want to help these businesses grow and give them just one other outlet to be able to expand and reach people. And that's kind of the idea here.
It's hard to get businesses at times. Some businesses aren't quite sure why we're doing this. And it's, when we call businesses and tell them that we'd like to do their spotlight on them, we're calling them at random. We're advertising,
What's the catch?
asking people to, we're advertising and asking for people to call and email us. And we reiterate that you don't owe us anything. It's completely free. We give you the video. We have professionals that come and do it, and we don't release it until you're satisfied with it. So if you misspeak, if it needs to be edited, if you just don't like it, which has never really happened, it's for them. So it's rewarding to see, Las Fuentes, Handyman, Fight Club. It's there's so many of them.
The Hankies
you can
one?
see the Hankies one. You can just see how they explode on social media.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that kind of involvement and that kind of community gathering in a virtual social space like that. It's really neat.
And it is crazy. Go ahead.
And you can see how much the videos actually do help, like the businesses. Like,
on the comments, you can see them people asking about the services that they provide.
Well, and just like in person, the three of us are actually Florissant residents ourselves. And so we shop at the businesses around here and our customers ourselves. And a lot of the businesses we do videos on, we'll go to, a month or so from there. And then
we did a ribbon cutting at Made by Leah, and damn it if I'm not there every other day.
So we see like when we go there, like how much business is brought into them and how much better they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people, like with the Hankies one, a lot of those, I guess, followers of Hankies or maybe followers of ours who hadn't been there in a couple of years saw the video and
saw the
commented
renovations
immediately, and they wanted to see what else has changed around there.
Yeah.
And Mark Goldstein told me how packed the patio was for about a month after that video went out.
It's fantastic.
And I think it got 20-something thousand views, and it's a direct correlation, basically.
And that's helped us grow our following. So when we started this rebirth of this media department, we had about 1,200 followers, probably across all platforms, 1,200, 1,400. We just hit 10,000 this week on Facebook alone.
Sorry.
So we're still trying to grow. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Those are all their own disciplines.
And those ones that are growing,
working.
that we're still trying to grow.
Instagram has 1,000. So
they're
we hit
getting
1,000
somewhere.
on Instagram like a month ago.
Yeah, and they're all going somewhere. So we're moving in the right direction. And Steve, I did have one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote a mission back in 2019 for the city's media department.
Yeah, as we were explaining to our city council during budget meetings, when we were asking for funds for, hey, we need to do this and that, we decided to come up with a mission statement.
Yeah, and I want to see if you think we are following this. Mission of the city's media department is to record, create, and distribute original, fresh, and engaging content that showcases all that Florissant businesses, residents, and departments have to offer. Community engagement is key in this, which is why we will communicate on as many platforms as possible. Back in 2019, we wrote that.
Yep. And I think we started doing that almost immediately, but it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled so much because these video podcasts are going on Spotify and Google. What's Google's podcast thing? Google Podcasts?
I think so.
Whatever that is. So you guys are always finding new places to display your work and everything that Florissant has to offer. So yeah, I think we have.
And I think that's something that was definitely necessary because not that the old media department was doing anything necessarily wrong. It was just the way they did things was more to a different demographic and generation.
Sure. They certainly held the torch for as long as they could, and they did a great job. And they got us that far, and then we took it. Now it's our turn to take it the rest of the way. So it's
and yeah, the guy Chris who was here when I got here, I wouldn't have figured out half of what I got figured out if it wasn't for somebody who had navigated these city events, knew everything that goes on behind them, knew what works, what doesn't, and I mean, I would have still been trying to catch up if it wasn't for all the stuff that he kind of taught me right when I started.
Sure.
And that kind of worked both ways because we were trying to catch him up to speed on some of the newer technology we were trying to use.
Right.
And he, by the end of it, was thanking us a bunch for that because he was starting to learn a lot of it. At first, he didn't want to learn any of this new equipment. But once he got there, he started to really enjoy it. It took a while, but he really did. Chris
was amazing. I actually miss, like every morning during my internship when I'd walk in, the first thing he'd always say to me is just his most recent dad joke that he had heard. Like the first words out of his mouth, and that was something I always look forward to every morning. It was great.
Chris was great.
Yeah, somebody who works for the city just called Bennett a couple days ago
and asking if I was
they were trying to find Chris Pulliam. Like, oh, did he retire? What? Yeah, about a year ago. So, but yeah, other than the things that we've talked about this year, we've kind of started to try a bunch of different things. I mean, our ribbon cuttings have been different than they've ever been.
We're producing our ribbon cuttings now. It used to be show up and take a picture. Now it's show up with tables, with banners, with flags, with music, with maybe eventually giveaways to really draw a crowd in that we're trying to do. And the ones that have had nice weather that we've been able to do that at, it's a completely different vibe. It's more of a party than a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, it is. And then the Parks Department has been using us a little bit
as DJs,
as
MCs.
DJ and MC. Bennett got to DJ the other night for the first time.
Sure.
And how'd that go?
It went well.
Yeah. DJ iPad did a good job.
Yeah, it was doing great.
But yeah, that's something that we've never done before, and we have a new video coming out. I guess by the time this podcast goes out, you'll probably have already seen this video on Facebook, but it's one that highlights all 19 of our parks. A lot of work went into it. And of course, we chose the two hottest days of the year, I think, to shoot this. Yesterday afternoon was a scorcher.
Yeah, it was awful.
And we were out there for about 3 hours, and we got back in to start editing, and we just felt gross. I don't know why we chose the two hottest days, but in the middle of, or I guess at the end of September, it was 96 degrees, 97 degrees.
That's pretty awful.
Yeah, it was.
And that's definitely something we've been doing more of those skit kind of videos.
Yeah.
But they're informational, but also funny. Like we started that, I think, with the Nerf Wars video where we made a video of Steve, like pretending like he's like playing really hard with Nerf and
just looking goofy as always.
Yeah.
You guys could just do Parks and Rec classes, facilities, amenities full time, and that would fill up your that would fill up your day every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's always more that I wish we could cover, but it's very difficult.
Sure, we can only do so many things at once
with 3 employees and
sure,
working editing these things. It's I wish we could do a lot more, but
right.
we do everything that we can, and a lot more than we were doing.
And Florissant's it's a huge city. Like when you talk to somebody outside of Florissant about the city, they don't realize how much stuff there is. Like when we tell people that our full-time jobs are doing media for a municipal government,
sure,
people are like, what are you talking about, taxes all day? And that's it's no, we have all this stuff. We have parks, we have
right.
the PD, we have all sorts of things that we can cover, and it's such a big city, and there's so much stuff jam-packed in it. That's
over 50,000 people, almost 20 parks, just a crazy amount of classes, amenities, festivals, and there's never a shortage on what to do.
That was a great thing to bring up, because I think when Joe started here, he didn't realize half the amenities and the events and the city's things that were going on. Joe's like, oh, we do that. Oh, we do that. Oh, we do that.
Yeah, I've lived here probably since I think 2009 is when I moved here from North County, Spanish Lake area. And I never knew all the stuff that really happened in Florissant, like all the parades and events that we have going on. I didn't know about most of it.
Right. And now you're busy all the time.
Yeah, I had heard of Valley of Flowers, of course, but I had never gone.
Sure.
I was like, oh, what do you do? Look at flowers or something like that? What is this? So
it's amazing to me when I hear people say, hey, I didn't know this event was happening in Florissant. How do I find out about that? Because, we're posting stuff on over half a dozen social media and video podcasts and podcast platforms. They're on our website. They're on our cable stations. We mail a periodical magazine to people's homes 4 times a year. We have email distribution lists from our website. So I'm always interested to hear, well, why didn't you know about that?
Are you
where are we missing
rock?
you?
Yeah.
Where are we missing you? So, if you ever see any of us, you're welcome to come tell us, hey, I didn't know about that, or hey, I did hear about that and I liked it, because we're all open to hear different ways that we can communicate with the public. So
yeah, I mean, that's our job. We want to get as much as we can out to as many people as we can.
And if you're a storefront business in Florissant, you might see one of us knocking on your door, coming into your business saying, hey, can we come do a video shoot in here? And if your question is why, it's because why not?
It's free
because we want to highlight for you. This is free advertising.
That's a very good way to put it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Honestly, the businesses that we do interact with and we do these video shoots, they're amazed by what you guys can create. And then this one thing I hear from all of them is, why isn't there a line out the door for this?
Right when we finish, they always say that.
It's hard to convey to businesses why we're doing this. There's no ulterior motive. It's already paid for by your tax dollars. So.
Yeah, I mean, those video shoots give us a little bit more of an opportunity to be a little creative, because obviously sometimes
they're all just wildly different.
City government can, some of these videos, we're doing the same thing.
You've done a lawyer's office, an insurance agency.
Yeah.
You've done a Mexican restaurant,
a fight club.
You've done every restaurant, hardware store, clothing boutique.
Yep.
We have, we pay a small fee each year for amazing music that we license to do these, and that brings a good vibe to a lot of these videos. So,
and next year Bennett said he's actually going to save the city some money, and he's going to start playing guitar for all of our music.
Yeah, I'm learning 17 different instruments.
Yeah. We'll see. You can try out for it. We'll see.
Or on the creative side, we're actually expanding more than just doing commercials for businesses. We're starting to make more cinematic story type videos just of different things around the community. And for example, right now we're shooting stuff for Ferg Floor to try and shed some more light on our local schools.
Yeah, Ferguson, Florissant, and Hazelwood both have, those school districts have a lot of primary and secondary education facilities in our city. And we did one with, was it a Hazelwood school? Was it the custodian that puts out the Christmas decorations?
No, that was Commons Lane.
Yeah, that's a Ferg Floor school.
Okay,
it's Ferg Floor.
So
it's on Durhickey.
Yeah, we're looking. So there was a custodian at one of our local grade schools that has this massive collection of Christmas decorations and puts it out every year in the hallways for the kids to enjoy. And we did a really neat piece on that. And we're looking to highlight an employee of each Ferg Floor and Hazelwood school that's in Florissant
That was another one
to
of
show
those
the
videos.
community.
That was another one of those videos that got over 20,000 views. People want to see what's going on in the community, heartfelt community stories. And there's only 3 of us here. It's hard to go out and find all of these heartwarming stories and cool stories. But if you know anything,
that's
reach out to us.
You guys have almost started to do a little bit of news coverage too, because Florissant had the flood in late August where Coldwater Creek flooded and affected a bunch of businesses and homes. And you guys flew a drone over the flooded area so people could see what was happening. I think a lot of that coverage of what you guys did helped bring a U.S. senator here and helped bring resources and attention to the area so the businesses could get federal and local government help and state government help. So I wouldn't say you guys are doing news coverage, but when something like that's big, that impacts Florissant, you guys act like a news crew too.
Well, think about the mornings where we're getting a foot of snow. You call me and you're like, can you get up there at 4:30 a.m. and go with the street department? It's like, sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And our photos and drones from the flood,
hundreds of thousands,
like over 2,000 shares.
Yeah. And then the views were just off the charts.
Yeah, and it's when there's that many people seeing it, that's going to bring
in a different audience too.
Yeah.
All these different businesses that we highlight, they're all different types of work and products, so it's bringing in their customers too. So
that post alone is the only reason our Twitter, I think, really started to show some substantial growth. I mean, we were getting a few followers here and there, and it's not like we have 10,000 on Twitter, but we did show a huge jump during that time, and that really helped. That obviously helped our Facebook page drastically.
Sure.
But what else you guys got to talk about? Anything?
What's next?
What's next?
I'd say different and exciting FPV drone footage would be coming in the next couple of months as our pilot learns that new discipline and experiments with how we can film businesses and events and stuff with that. It's a much closer drone experience.
Yeah, what's FPV stand for? First person?
It's first person visual video, I don't know.
Yeah. I think our first one should be of the government the government building. A lot of people here haven't seen this building that we're in.
Do a fly through.
Yeah, I think we could do it. We can go in and say hi to community development. We'll back out. We'll go say hi to Steve and his computer typing on stuff, doing IT stuff.
We won't tell community development that it's a drone going to come in there so we can get their terrified reaction.
And then we'll make our way down the steps and we'll come down here and you'll see the studio and you'll see our office spaces back there. And
in case you're curious where this is, we're in the basement of 1055 Rue St. Francis, the government building next door to City Hall on the corner of New Florissant and St. Francis. It used to be Roosevelt Bank. Before that, it was Community Federal Bank. A little bit of history. So we're in an old bank building.
I didn't know that's what they were called. Roosevelt Bank, and what was the other one?
Community Federal, Savings and Loan.
Community Federal. And my office is where it used to be the bank vault.
Steve works in the vault.
We sometimes lock him in there when we don't want to talk to him.
Joke's on you, though. The doorknob's broken. You can pull it right off of there. So, well, I mean, I think we've covered everything that I want to cover. If there's anything else you guys want to talk about while we're here.
And it's just great that we're always doing something new. We're always it's like you said earlier, we're never satisfied.
Yeah.
We always want to do something more. We always want to try to do something different. And it's just like we just keep growing. Just want to do new things.
Our phone number's right there, 839-7635, and media@florissantmode.com. You can email us and give us your suggestions, comments. If you're a business that wants to get some coverage, give us a call.
And heartwarming stories, community-centered stories is what we're kind of looking forward to highlight in the future, on top of all the other things that we do regularly. Those are kind of the things that we really want to hit home because residents seem to love it. But other than that, I think that's all we got.
I don't know how to end this. Do we just stop talking?
Yeah, stop talking in 3, 2, 1. All right, thanks everybody for listening to another edition of the Florissant Podcast.